let this be our tribute to Harold Ramis. The past week, I've gotten a lot of emails. How about you?
There's been a ton of, Twitter and Facebook.
Probably just about like a half hour or something right after it became news. It was like, wow. Like I tweeted, I'm like, I can't believe this happened. Everybody felt shocked, So I don't think there's much we could even really do justice to it.
When it happened, I didn't know what to say. Mm-hmm. So I thought about like, I should tweet something because I'm an '80s kid. I grew up with Ghostbusters and all that, but I just didn't know like what do you say, something like that. So I actually know somebody who works on the Ghostbuster comic, and he did a nice drawing of Egon's. His Ghostbuster suit hanging in the closet with the proton pack and everything. So I retweeted that because it's difficult to find words because there's so much to say. He directed so many movies. And
there's so much to say, obviously, but I hope everybody understands that we've lost a lot of people this past couple months or whatever. Yeah. So it's just like it's going to keep happening, and it's just it's a sort of thing where you can't always make a video out of it. You can't always do it every time. But so I hope this is kind of just this is also a tribute in a way to everybody who we've lost, and we all felt the same way. Just going back to that again, we all felt the same way when we heard the news. So I just want to say every comedy today, like every dumb comedy that comes out, is really inspired by movies like Animal House, which he wrote, and Caddyshack, which is his first directing movie. And I saw those movies as a kid, and they were my dad's favorite movies. Like, he would always show them to me, and then there's parts that he'd have to like cover my eyes, like I would be seeing things that I'm a little too young for. But
some inappropriate parts of the movie.
Yeah, like I particularly remember Caddyshack. There's like this one scene where I have to like cover my eyes, and then Caddyshack was like one of the funniest movies ever made when that came out. Like I remember that as
the most iconic scene that I remember from Caddyshack is the famous scene where there's a chocolate bar going through the pool, but everybody thinks it's a piece of shit in the pool, and they all go running out, and then I guess Bill Murray like picks it up and he starts eating it and all that. Hilarious.
He's like, hey, it's so bad, Oh yeah, that's one of those scenes where, as a kid, that killed me. That was funny. That just, I was laughing so hard I was in pain. Caddyshack was a movie that, the making of the movie is actually more interesting than the movie itself. There's a documentary that you can watch that it's just all about. There was a lot of craziness going on the set. There was a lot of alcohol, a lot of partying, and Harold Ramis. I sort of feel like I relate to the guy a lot. That he was this young director making a movie for his first time, and a lot of things went wrong, and he's basically like in the end of it all, it was a really hard movie to make. You wouldn't think. I mean, you look at Caddyshack and you think it's just what it is.
It's like a masterpiece. That movie.
It's like it's a comedy masterpiece, but it started off as a mess. Like it was just like trying to get it made was really hard. But then in the end of it all, it just turned into like this comedy masterpiece. Through a lot of improving, you had the Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, and a lot of them who were only doing a big movie for their first time. It was like a lot of first time.
Because like Bill Murray, for example, he was on Saturday Night Live, but I don't think he had been in too many movies before that.
Rodney Dangerfield was doing stand-up comedy, and I remember he was like, it was so different doing a movie because then a stand-up comedian is used to people laughing. Yeah. But in a movie, nobody's laughing. Everybody's trying to keep quiet. So then he thinks he's like bombing, and he's like, what's going on, but so it was just a lot of experimenting with that movie, and that kind of format is now imitated so many times, and but every movie he made, I felt like he did something new, and then like if we go up to Groundhog Day, I remember that was just a breakthrough. That was a really clever, almost Twilight Zone kind of thing.
I saw Groundhog Day in the theater when it came out, and I remember thinking, I think that was my favorite movie with Bill Murray. I love that movie. So many funny parts. That's one of those movies where every single part of the movie is memorable. I didn't know until later. I just thought of it as a Bill Murray movie, and then I didn't find out until later that Harold Ramis, that I knew from being a kid, Egon, directed the movie, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome, you know. And then I started to find out about, you know, him as a director, as a, you know, he had this whole directing career, which is amazing.
Yeah, like I've always, I mean, today I still kind of think of him as an actor first. Like he just has really great comedic timing in both the Ghostbusters movies. I mean, he's funny in both of those movies.
Do you have a favorite moment from Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 of Egon?
There's so many. I mean, there's the part where Janine is talking to him from behind the desk, and she does all the talking in the scene, and she's just like talking his head off, and then at the end she goes like, "Are you?" You know, because the whole scene is just Egon reacting to her, just faces. And then at the end she goes, "Oh, do you have any hobbies?" And he's like,
spores, mold, and fungus.
Yeah, I collect spores, molds, and fungus. And then there's the your mother part where he loses his cool, you know, Mr. Peckerhead, you know.
Yeah.
But then Ghostbusters 2 has the funny moments with when they're construction workers, and they're pretending to be construction workers because they're digging to find the slime or whatever. And then the cops come and they start all like putting on these like this act that they're, you know, construction workers, and then he goes over to Egon, and then Egon is like, "Yo,
You right, Ziggy? Yo.
the atomic weight of cobalt or whatever." You remember that part?
That I remember being my favorite part. How does that go?
It's like, do you think there's a connection between this painting, Vigo or whatever, and the slime? And he goes, "Is the atomic weight of cobalt 45 or whatever?"
Yeah.
Whatever he says. He made nerds popular. You know, he was one of the guys who like made nerds cool.
That's
in the
true.
80s.
That is true.
Yeah, and you have all these great, all this great acting in the Ghostbusters movies. You got Rick Moranis, and he's doing a character, and you got Bill Murray, and he's got his like sarcasm and everything. But then Harold Ramis is just kind of not trying to do. He's funny without trying to be funny. He's just kind of like, he keeps it really, you know,
Low key.
Really low key, really understated humor, and that's why I think it's this really. He's always been like an underrated funny guy to me, because I just see him as a big funny guy.
What do you think's the deal with Ghostbusters 3 now?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because people have been telling me this all along, and I finally believe it now, I think, is that really Ghostbusters 3 was the video game, which normally wouldn't make sense. It's like, well, yeah, there it is. The Ghostbusters video game, which has the voices of the original cast, it really is like the third movie. Even though it's a game, it's not a movie, it still has the cutscenes, and it has all the humor from the original movies, and it really does feel like an extension to those. There was talk about making the third movie for a long time, which seems like there's still maybe talk. It may still keep going on, but I feel like Ghostbusters, as far as the movies goes, is done. Right. I feel like without Harold Ramis, you can't do it.
Well, without the original, you know, cast, you can't. Yeah, so
no,
there's no way now. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, if they were talking about doing it without Bill Murray, but without Harold Ramis, you absolutely can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I could even see like
I can't see it without Bill Murray either. I can't see it without. They all have to be there.
But I feel like Harold Ramis was even one. I mean, that's true. I feel like Harold Ramis was really, if not like the most important one, maybe, because you know how like Dan Aykroyd and, you know, Ray Stantz and Egon Spengler, they're both the two really nerdy ones.
Right.
Bill Murray's kind of like,
he doesn't really know much about ghostbusting.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to, like, you know, go on a date with Dan Barrett. Like, he's kind of got his mind in other places. And Winston, he's like the rookie one that comes in later. It really, like, you can't do it without Harold Ramis. I mean, Ghostbusters as it is just, I think, laid to rest. I mean, the original movies, they're not going anywhere. We're still going to keep watching those generation after generation.
Ghostbusters, they have it on, you know, Blu-ray now, you know, so you can always get your copies. And
they're always going to keep releasing it, so it's definitely not dying. It's 30 years now. 30 years, that movie.
Right, I mean, they'll always have the format. It's gone, you know, from the old days.
There you go.
You got the most classic VHS tape in history, I think, is this one right here, the original VHS tape of Ghostbusters, and then Ghostbusters 2 and stuff. And
there are tapes and DVDs on every side of this room, so I feel like you could probably grab some version of Ghostbusters.
The DVDs are over there too.
There's the NES games over there.
The NES
like, you could
games
probably grab, you know.
Yeah, so you had the classic Ghostbusters VHS tape, and, you know, these days we're up to like Blu-ray and all that. I just happened to get, you see this TV that we have Harold Ramis on? I actually got a copy of this. It says mastered in 4K. Now this is a 4K television, but you know, here's the Blu-ray and here's the mastered in 4K version. So you think to yourself, well, what's the difference? Like 4K should look better, right? Well, James and I compared these like back to back, and essentially these are both 1080p. So this says mastered in 4K, but how can it be 4K if they're both 1080p? I don't really understand it, but basically, I think that this is a bunch of bullshit, basically, the mastered in 4K thing.
And we compared them, and actually it was strange, we happened to do that on the day of his death, because I know we were here shooting a video, actually, which I already forget, even though it's been a week, but I already forget what video it was.
Were we shooting a video? Or maybe we were just, what were we doing?
Oh yeah, we were recording, you were helping me get footage for the next Nerd episode.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But we compared them both side by side. There is very subtle differences, not enough to buy a new one, but I think if you are going to buy Ghostbusters on Blu-ray, you might as well get the mastered in 4K one. But if you already own it, it isn't much of a difference.
Nah.
So anyway, the point is that Ghostbusters is always going to be released again. It's going to be in 3D soon enough. It's going to be in 8K. You know, it's going to keep on going. So all the movies that Harold Ramis made and was a part of, it's never going to die. So Harold Ramis will always be remembered.
Yo.
You right, see? Yo.